Hello everybody. Today let's start with our promo introduction.
Hello, dear Omrania Directorate English teachers. Are you ready for our E Tag today? Yes, we are ready, Mr. Abdel Rahman Rashid. Today we will learn and practice two new topics which make your teaching process more engaging, attractive and motivating.
We are eager to start.
So, let's start.
So let's start our session for today. Our session is divided into two parts as usual. We will see our program for today.
Hello, dear Omrania English teachers. Today is our 11th E Tag. Today we will have two topics. First, practice activities. Second, understanding learning technologies. I wish you all the best of luck. Mr. Abdel Rahman Rashid.
Right, so our training session today will be divided into two main parts. The first part will be about practice activities. We'll have a look over how to make your activity suitable for all ages you teach. And the second part is about understanding learning technology and how you can use different learning technologies in teaching. The last thing is Google Classroom task. You will have some kind of homework on page 133. I will make you answer it on Google Classroom as usual. Here is task 11. You will find it on our group, Omrania group on Google Classroom. Let's start with our first part. The first part of our session today is about practice activities. In this part, we will learn the aim of this module is to explore and evaluate a range of language practice activities. So we'll see some practice activities, some activities which you can do in your class, and how you make it suitable for every age. You can make it suitable for primary stage, prep stage, or even secondary stage. The module looks at activities that can be adapted to different ages and levels. You are given the opportunity to select the appropriate activities which correspond to specific learning outcomes. So at first you should determine the outcomes you want to get out of this activity. That gives you the opportunity to modify your activity to suit each level of students and the age of students, and to justify their choices. This module covers professional practices which you can see. So by the end of this module or this part of the module, you will be able to first recognize how some activities are flexible and they can be adapted to different levels and ages. This is the main part of this uh, first session training. And second, choose language practice activities which learn. If you please, if you please unmute
والله مفيش غير كده. لكن عم شعبان كان عارف.
Miss Amal, I have muted you. Please don't open your mic. Thanks, Miss Amal Ali. If you mute yourself, Miss Amal. Right? I mute. Right? Don't press again over your mic icon. It's okay? Right, let's complete. So the third aim of this first part is to justify your choices of practice activities when lesson planning. As usual, let's start with a small video about activities and how the teacher can use it in a perfect way. You can benefit from this activity and apply it on your class. Here is, as usual, the link to this video and the name of the video. Let's start with it. And I will pause the video and give you some hints. He's also giving you these hints over the video, but we'll discuss it together.
So number one is start. Now what do you think instruction number two is? Start. Very good.
So here is the teacher gives the student very simple instruction. First instruction is start and then stop. So we have got two words only and she will use them perfectly, as we will see.
You ready? Yeah. Start.
So when she says start, they start to move around the room, and when she says stop, they stop.
All this space. Find spaces, remember? Start. Number four is jump.
So here is another two words related to the first and second orders. She added two new words like jumping and climbing. Let's see. So here is she is jumping between the orders, and she can make the arrangement of these orders different in each time to make a kind of amusement in teaching something. In this step, she will add more options and make it more difficult and enjoyable at the same time.
5 and 6. So when I say name, and number 6 is freeze, like a statue.
Here is a new words like name. When she says name, she will whisper their names to each other, and she added the last order, which is freeze. And here, when she says freeze, she will keep still in their places like statues. Here is a kind of challenge when she use all the 6 orders in a different order or arrangements. They will make a kind of confusion, and that will add a kind of amusement in teaching this activity.
Okay, it's still too easy. So, start means stop, and stop means stop. And now,
She conversed the orders. That means when I say start, you should stop. When I say name, you should freeze, and so on. This will be confusing but amusing at the same time. You can use this activity in your class when you find out that your students is busy and not active, to make a kind of refreshment to start again your lesson. Here is discussion questions. Read these comments from teachers. Do you agree with them or not? You can write down if you are agreeing with the first, second, or third bubble on the chat box, or raise your hand and give me your answer. First one is K from Kazakhstan. The bubble says, we need activities to practice speaking, listening, reading, and writing that we can use with all our classes. If you agree, write down. If you don't, write down in the chat box. If you agree, write yes, I agree. And give me the number 1. This is for the first bubble. I will read some samples. And if you don't agree, write down no, I don't agree, and give me a reason. Now I will check the chat box. Start writing if you please. Here is we have got Miss Yasmin. I agree with him, right? So Miss Yasmin agrees with the first bubble. Someone else? Mr. Mahmoud, I agree. Miss Noah Hussein, I agree, right? Minnatullah, Miss Minnatullah Sam, yes, I agree, right? Miss Rahab Mahmoud, I don't agree. Miss Rahab, why don't you agree with this bubble? Don't you see that we need activities to practice speaking, listening, reading, and writing? If you have another point of view, if you please, if you have something to tell us, we are waiting. Miss Rahab, Miss Amal Ali, I agree, yes.
Yes, Mr. Abdurrahman.
Yes, Miss
Assalamu
Rahab.
alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Why don't you agree with this bubble that we need activities to practice speaking, listening, reading, and writing? What are the substitute? What can you do instead of activities to teach your students these skills, 4 skills?
Become some in English, they can't understand the language. They need to speak in Arabic. Some activities be difficult for them.
Right. So, Miss Rahabi, you
They
can
can't
use,
understand me.
I can understand you. You can use some simple words like the teacher in the video. She used only 6 words. Like for example, stand up, sit down, raise your hand, and so on.
Suitable for students which they are understand me when I talk in English, but some students these activities isn't aren't suitable for them.
I'm sure for that, but you can make them engage and participate in the activity by using some simple words
Through
and encouraging them to
mining,
practice.
they can understand me through mining, through body language. They can understand me.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Rahab. So you can use your skills thanks, Ms. Rahab, in delivering this instructions or activities and giving the student the opportunity to participate in the activity. Thanks, Ms. Rahab. Ms. Yasmin, we can act what we say to them, right? Ms. Noah, when I use storytelling, it becomes easy to understand. Right, thanks, Ms. Noah Hussein. Now we'll move to the second bubble, which is from India. Flexible activities that we can adapt to use with various levels and different ages are essential when we have limited resources and large groups. So this is related to teaching large number of students, and we have some lack of resources. We don't have a lot of resources to use. If you agree with this bubble, write down the number 2, and I agree. If you don't agree, write number 2 and no, I don't agree in the chat box. I'll check it. Right, agree, Miss Yasmin. Agree, Miss Minnatullah. Miss Noah Hussein, agree. Mr. Mahmoud, agree. Miss Amal, agree. Yes, I agree. So I think most of us agree with the second bubble. Let's move to the third one and the last. Miss Amal, Miss Rahab, agree, right? Thank you. The last one is about storytelling and dictation techniques, as well as songs and poems can be used with all ages and levels in English classroom. This is from Argentina. If you agree, write down the number 3 and I agree. Yes, agree. Miss Noah, Miss Minnatullah. I disagree, Mr. Mahmoud. Don't agree, Miss Yasmin. Right, so I would like to listen to your opinion, Mr. Mahmoud, about why don't you agree with the third bubble?
I think this is not suitable for young children. It is, I think it is more suitable for older children.
But all of us loves the storytelling and wanted to listen for stories. This is, I think, very suitable for young age.
I can tell them the story, but they can't tell the story. The young children can tell the.
Right, Mr. Mahmoud, but you are the
Yes, Mr. Abdurrahman.
Yes, Mr. But you are the storyteller. You will tell the story for your students. Can you hear me?
I can tell them the story, but the students can't tell the story. Young children can tell the story as older children.
Right, I agree with you, but you can make it very easy by giving them, for example, some sentence, very simple sentence, and make them arrange this sentence and retell this sentence to the student to make a storytelling, right? Thanks,
yes, Mr. Abdurrahman.
Thanks, Mr. Mahmoud. What about Mr. Yasmin? Why don't you agree with this problem?
I think storytelling is okay with younger is not but poems I don't agree with them. It is difficult.
Poems, right. Okay, because students in young age don't usually take poems. This is for the prep and secondary stage. I agree with you, right? But we are speaking about activities which are for all ages. Thanks for your post, Mr. Mahmoud and Miss Yasmin. Thanks for all your participation. Now let's move to the next step, which will be on our Google Classroom tasks. Let's reflect on our teaching practice. You will put a kind of comment on the chat box on Google Classroom group Omrania on the internet. Choose an activity type which you have tried before. For example, we have tried, for example, bingo, right, with your learners. and think about how it's suited your learners' needs. My students needs in the very young age some skills in language. I think this is suitable for them, and so on, and help you achieve the lesson outcomes. When you want us to get some outcomes of this lesson, this activity helps me a lot. Make some notes of this activity and discuss your ideas in group. So we'll have a kind of small discussions and comments over our comments on our Google Classroom site. Now, the first task for this part is a kind of apply think about the aims of this lesson. He gives me a lesson from primary stage. I think it's from primary 1, right? He gives me how things are made. He gives me some pictures about this is wheat, and then it turns into flour, and after that it becomes bread. And second picture is about making clothes. Your learners need. So think about the aims of these lessons, your learners' needs. This is the first step, and interests. Second step, and choose an activity that you will use to teach this lesson. Discuss your answer in groups. I think for me, if I wanted to apply this lesson in my class, I will bring some realia to the class. I will bring some wheat, a mixer, and a sample of a cooker. I will show the students the wheat and give them the name of it, and say we could make this wheat into flour by using this mixer. I can make a kind of simple experiment for them to put some wheat in the mixer and run it to make the wheat into flour. After that, I will make a kind of dough by using yeast and some water, and put it into the oven of the cooker, which I made as a sample to make a kind of bread and show them this simple process of making wheat into bread. You can make whatever you want and write down some notes about how we will make an activity concerning this lesson to make it more enjoyable and to deliver the information you want to your students. Now let's summarize some more difficult activities or some terms. I want you to get the meaning of each of it. We have got 6 terms. First activity or first term is brainstorming. Brainstorming is the random generation of ideas based around a topic. There is no editing or ordering of these ideas because you give the students some questions which are not arranged to arouse some thinking related to the topic you are giving to them, or the curricula which you are teaching them in the class in this lesson. They may then be used as the basis for another activity. So from one question, you can generate another question and so on. For example, if you want to teach the previous lesson, you can give them how can, for example, in the first question at the beginning of the lesson, how can we make this wheat into bread? And after that, you can ask them some related questions related to this this question. Please write down your names on the chat box because after the session, I need to take the attendance through this chat box. Don't forget that it's very important to write down your names. The second activity is activating schemata. This is a kind of teacher who introduces activity, who introduces the topic and invites learners to discuss it. Is activating schemata, thing the learners to any prior information. You give them some hints about the topic and make them try to guess what would happen after that, and to make their minds to find out some information related to this. This is a kind of motivation for the student to think and to give innovative replies for the topic which you are teaching. The third activity is jigsaw. We have applied jigsaw in our previous year activities. It's to some extent difficult for younger students, but we can use it in two levels: in writing or reading, and in listening. So a jigsaw listening or reading activity is an information gap exercise. Learners hear or read different parts of a text, then exchange information. So at first we read, and then the students exchange information between each other to make a kind of completion of some gaps in a text. You give them a text and make them discuss the information, but you don't give them the whole text at once. You divide them into parts, 3 parts, for example, part A, B, C, or group A, group B, and group C, and give each group some information related to the main topic. Make them discuss it with each other and exchange information after a while with the other groups. After that, you can make the groups complete some gaps in reading comprehension. You can make this by using listening. You can give them a tape script and some audios to listen to and to exchange information between each other. And this, I think, is for older age. For example, for primary 4, 6, and right. Will be run out of time in 10 minutes. So if you please, if the session is stopped, log in again through the link you have, and you will complete the second part of our session through this link. Right? I will wait for you after finishing this part. Let's move quickly to the 3 other activities. It's jumble activity. In jumble activity, learners need to put sentences or paragraphs from a text or picture illustrating a text. It's like completing something. They use the picture to complete the whole picture or image. They use some words to complete the text and so on. For example, the learners put jumbled pictures into a possible order. This is a kind of arrangement. We use this kind of activities in our classes. The next activity is dictogloss. Dictogloss is a classroom dictation activity where learners are required to reconstruct a short text by listening and noting down keywords. So you will give them a whole text and make them make a kind of notes through this text, and after that they will make a reconstruction, rebuild sentence, make this story again. The last one is mind maps. I think you all know about mind maps. If you mute yourself, then mute yourself. Mr. Hani Abdelazim, if you please mute yourself. Mr. Hani. Right?
Yes.
If you please mute yourself. Press the icon of the mic again. So I'll mute you, Mr. Hani, right? Let's complete. In mind maps, you put down the topic in the middle in a circle and make kind of arrows in which end of the arrow you write down a word related to this topic. For example, if I write down school, I would make words like teacher, student, board, playground, library, and so on. Right. Now let's move to the second part of this session. It's about learning technologies. We'll use a lot of technologies in teaching our students in our classes. Here is the learning outcomes of the second part. This module introduces you to learning technologies. You will look at what a learning technology is and the considerations of integrating learning technologies into your lessons and syllabus. You will also explore the advantages and the challenges of using learning technologies in your teaching practice. I think the first and the major disadvantage of using technologies in our classes is that mobile phones is not permitted or allowed in our classes. We can't use it unless we have some kind of permission from the administration or the teacher. And that we don't have the access to internet or the labs in our schools contains speed internet connection and so on. This is very problematic for all of us. By the end of this module, we'll be able to explain the relationship between digital literacy. So it's very important to know about digital literacy, how to use digital tools in teaching. This is very important, and in language learning. I think this is the main core of this part. Number two, use some learning technologies to enhance learning instruction. Number three, recognize issues that occur when integrating learning technologies into teaching practice. Let's see a video about using technology in classroom.
Goal 4 of the Sustainable Development Goals, quality education. How should technology be used in the classroom? Technology is rapidly evolving and is introduced to children at an early age. Kids are playing outside less and are more likely to play on gaming consoles, tablets, and cell phones. At school, this can be a major distraction. Instead of paying attention in class, many students are on their phones texting and using social media. This distraction can cause their grades to slip, and disciplinary actions such as detention and suspensions can impact their learning negatively. Even though many see technology as a distraction, educators can benefit from integrating these advancements into their curriculum. Interactive, educational assignments that require students to use apps on mobile devices can keep students engaged with their studies by delivering knowledge through a medium they are comfortable with. Introducing students to technology in the classroom using computers and smartboards resonates with them more than whiteboards and notebooks do. Familiarizing students with this technology will also help prepare them for jobs where they will need to know more practical skills related to technology, such as social media and coding. Using technology hand in hand with education, we can prepare our students for brighter futures.
So we can use both technology and traditional means of teaching hand in hand to get our goals, because the next stage of job and opportunity to get a high job or to be successful in the future is concerned with using technology. Here is a kind of article on the BBC British Council published it. Here is the link, and we'll show you this article. Where is it? Yes, it's about digital literacy. If you can see the screen, here is the article, and I put the link on the video. You can log onto it and read it. It's about digital literacies. What are they and why should we care? Here is some information about In Australia, schools teaches digital literacy skills, and in the USA, there is a growing awareness of the importance of a new media literacies and so on. And after that, he gives you what are digital literacies. He gives you the definition of that. Right? He says we are not just talking about the checklist of technological skills, but also about the social practices that surround the use of new media. Here is he means by digital literacy how to use the technological devices in teaching. And here is the rest of the article. You can read it and benefit from it. There is a kind of questions related to this article. We'll give it to you. He asks you after reading this article, think about these questions. One, from reading the text, can you put a definition for digital literacy using your own words? Number two, do you agree or disagree that digital literacy is important in the language classroom? Three, what can you do to increase your digital literacy? And we have got 1 minute left, so let's move very fast to our PowerPoint presentation to finish the rest before it stop. Here is the second task. It's from Discovery Primer 1, and you will find the tasks on the Google Classroom. After that, here is some definition like infograph. When use some graphs to give some information. Number two, learning technologies. We spoke about it, and digital literacy. Here is a kind of definition for it.